Hello hockey fans, Oddman Rush here and welcome back to another video. The Hart Memorial Trophy is awarded every year to the NHL player deemed most valuable to his team by the Professional Hockey Writers Association. Donated to the league in 1923 by David Hart, the Hart Trophy has been awarded 99 times to 61 players since the 1923-24 NHL season and has been given to many of the greatest players the National Hockey League has ever seen. Now, of the 61 players to receive the award, 46 of them have been forwards, 8 have been defensemen, and 7 have been goaltenders. Yet forwards have won the award a staggering 78 times, defensemen have won it 13 times, while goalies have been crowned league MVP just 8 times in 99 seasons. So who are the goalies that have won the trophy, and how were they able to join this exclusive club? Well, let's take a closer look and find out. As in today's video, join me as we explore every goalie to be crowned NHL League MVP. Let's start at the very beginning with the league's first Hart-winning goalie, Roy Worters. The shortest player in NHL history at just 5 feet and 3 inches tall, Roy Worters didn't let his size stop him from becoming one of the league's first great goalies, as he posted a 171, 229 and 83 record, a 2.27 career goals against average, and 66 shutouts in 484 regular season games. Oh, and he also won the Thisn in 1931. He was the first goalie to record back-to-back shutouts, and he was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1969. So the guy had quite the career despite his mediocre record. After his third season with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and after his controversial exit from the team, Worters would join the New York Americans for the 1928-29 season, where the netminder made a great first impression by leading the Americans, who had finished last in their division the season prior, to a second-place finish during his debut. And how did he do that? Well, by posting an incredible 16, 12 and 10 record, a 1.15 goals against average, and 13 shutouts in 38 games. The guy averaged nearly a single goal a game for an entire season of play, and he went scoreless in 13 of his 16 wins that year. Talk about a great performance, eh, folks? Though the Americans would be knocked out in the playoff quarterfinals thanks to a double overtime goal, Worters' dominant numbers would earn him a place in the record books, as he beat out Toronto's Ace Bailey, Boston's Eddie Shaw and Ottawa's King Clancy in Hart Trophy voting to take home the award and become the first goalie in NHL history to be crowned league MVP. Sounds like it went to the right player if you ask me, guys. Jumping ahead over 3 decades now, as we have our next Hart-winning goalie, Chuck Rayner. One of the league's first premier puck-handling goalies, Chuck Rayner produced respectable numbers during his 10-year NHL career, despite playing for some pretty terrible teams, as he registered a 138, 208 and 77 record, a 3.05 career goals against average, and 25 shutouts in 424 regular season games. He was also a 3-time NHL All-Star during the late 40s and early 50s, and he was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1973, so he could have done far worse for himself, all things considered. Having returned to the NHL after a 3-year stint with the Royal Canadian Navy during World War II, and after spending the next 4 seasons exclusively with the New York Rangers, Rayner's 5th year on Broadway would be one to remember. With the Rangers having finished above 5th place in the standings just once since his arrival, during the league's original 6 era I might add, and with the team having made a lone playoff appearance during this span, the Canadian netminder would lead his team to a bounce-back year almost single-handedly, as Rayner played all but 1 contest for New York during the entire 1949-50 NHL season, and he finished the year with a 28, 30 and 11 record, a 2.62 goals against average, and 6 shutouts in 69 games. Despite posting an under 500 record, Rayner's heroics would help the Rangers finish 4th place in the league and return to the playoffs once more, where the netminder would stand on his head and lead a rather lackluster New York side all the way to the 1950 Stanley Cup Finals, where they would eventually fall in overtime of Game 7 to the Detroit Red Wings. Ooh, so close yet so far. Though they would fall at the final hurdle, Rayner's play would earn him quite the accolade, as he received nearly 67% of the votes for the Hart Memorial Trophy, and he became just the 2nd goaltender in NHL history to win the award. I guess hard work really does pay off, right guys? Less than half a decade after Rayner's win, another goaltender would be crowned league MVP, as next we have Rollins. Another netminder who spent much of his career on some pretty bad teams, Rollins recorded impressive numbers in spite of his circumstances, posting a 141, 205 and 83 record, a 2.78 career goals against average, and 28 shutouts in 430 regular season games. After spending several years with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and after failing to establish himself as the team's starting netminder, the Canadian goalie would join the Chicago Blackhawks in 1952. And while Chicago would finish dead last in the league 5 times during Rollins' 6 seasons with the team, his sophomore year in the Windy City proved to be one for the record books. During the 1953-54 NHL season, Rollins would look to help his team earn back-to-back playoff berths for the first time since the early 1940s. And while this dream would be shattered almost as quickly as it began, since the Blackhawks finished dead last in the standings once again, it wasn't Rollins' fault by any means, as the goalie posted a 12, 47 and 7 record, a 3.21 goals against average, and 5 shutouts in 66 games. Playing all but 4 games of your team's entire regular season schedule and shutting out your opponent in nearly half of your wins that year sounds like a pretty respectable performance to me, folks. Since he had tried to carry his team almost single-handedly, and given that he had very little support, if any, from the rest of his roster, Rollins' efforts would not only be recognised, they would be well rewarded, as the netminder secured 30% of the vote share to narrowly surpass Detroit's Red Kelly and take home the 1954 Hart Memorial Trophy, becoming just the 3rd goalie in NHL history to bag the award, despite posting the worst numbers of any goalie winner, both past and in the future, by a pretty sizable margin. It just goes to show you that every dog really does have their day, right guys? Another 8 years would pass before our next Hart winner, as we've now reached goalie number 4, Jacques Plante. One of the greatest netminders of his generation, and one of the first goalies to wear a mask during an NHL game, Jacques Plante would produce quite the legendary NHL career, as he posted a 437, 246 and 145 record, a 2.38 career goals against average, and 82 shutouts in 837 regular season games. Not only that, Plante won 7 Vezina trophies, 6 Stanley Cups, including 5 straight between 1956 and 1960, he was an 8-time NHL All-Star, and he was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1978. So yeah, the guy has quite the lengthy resume. Towards the tail end of his iconic tenure with the Montreal Canadiens, Plante would face his fair share of struggles with the injury bug, as he played just 40 games with the Habs during the 1960-61 season, and he even spent time down in the AHL, where it was discovered that he had been playing with torn cartilage in his knee. After having his knee surgically repaired during the off-season, and after returning to the Canadiens with a much cleaner bill of health, Plante would not only be back to his old self, he would somehow take his game to even greater heights. Thanks to his lights-out play between the pipes and the rather stacked roster in front of him, Plante would finish the 1961-62 NHL season having registered an incredible 42, 14 and 14 record, a 2.37 goals against average, a .923 save percentage, and 4 shutouts in 70 games. The guy played every single game after having his knee surgically repaired during the off-season, and he lost just 14 of his 70 contests that year. Now that's how you bounce back, guys. As you might expect, this performance would earn Plante several accolades, including a place on the NHL's first All-Star team, a Vezina trophy, and even the 1962 Hart Memorial trophy, as he beat out New York's Doug Harvey, Chicago's Bobby Hull, and Detroit's Gordie Howe with 29% of the votes to become the fourth goalie in NHL history to be crowned league MVP. Sure, he didn't receive the most first-place votes that year, but he was certainly deserving of the award given just how well he played and what he had recently overcome the season prior, at least in my opinion anyway. Following Plante's Hart-winning season, the NHL wouldn't see another goalie take home the trophy for quite some time, as no netminder would be crowned league MVP for the rest of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and even most of the 90s too. However, after 3.5 decades of waiting, this drought was finally snapped thanks to our next netminder, Dominik Hasek. One of, if not the greatest goalie the league has ever seen, Dominik Hasek revolutionised the netminding position and produced incredible numbers during his lengthy NHL career, posting a 389, 223, 82 and 13 record, a 220 career goals against average, a .922 career save percentage, and 81 shutouts in 735 regular season games. Oh, and he also won 6 Vezina trophies, 2 Stanley Cup championships, and 6 All-Star nods. And that's not even mentioning all of his other awards in the NHL, back home in the Czech Republic, and on the international stage too. Did I mention that he was one of the best? Because he really was one of the best, guys. Having spent 2 seasons with the Chicago Blackhawks during the early 1990s, and having joined the Buffalo Sabres in 1992, the Dominator would earn his nickname and then some over the next 9 years, as he would register otherworldly numbers practically every single season, and he helped transform the Sabres from a playoff hopeful to a legitimate Stanley Cup contender. In the midst of his tenure with the Sabres, Hasek would not only continue his insanely high level of play, he would somehow reach even loftier heights during the 1996-97 NHL season, as the Czech goalie finished the year with an incredible 37, 20 and 10 record, a .930 save percentage, a 2.27 goals against average, and 5 shutouts in 67 games. He may not have played every single contest like many of the other goalies in this video, but these stats sure blow many of theirs out of the water, huh folks? Not only would he help Buffalo finish second place in the Eastern Conference, Hasek's league-leading numbers would earn him his fair share of awards, as he took home one of his many Vezinas, a first-team All-Star berth, a Lester B. Pearson Award, and even League MVP, as he won a whopping 96% of first-place votes to surpass Anaheim's Paul Kariya, Pittsburgh's Mario Lemieux, and New Jersey's Martin Brodeur to become the 5th goalie in NHL history to win the Hart Memorial Trophy. In fact, Hasek not only took home 1 Hart Trophy, the Dominator would be crowned league MVP for a second time just the following year, thanks to him somehow playing even better during the following 1997-98 NHL season, and thanks to him registering a whopping 33, 23 and 13 record, a .932 save percentage, a 2.09 goals against average, and 13 shutouts in 72 games, Hasek would earn 92% of the first place vote share and win the 1997 Hart Trophy, becoming the first goalie in NHL history to be crowned league MVP on 2 separate occasions, and just the 10th player in league history to win the award in consecutive seasons. Gah, they really don't make them like Hasek anymore, do they? Just 4 years after Hasek's back-to-back wins, the league would see its penultimate Hart-winning goalie, Jose Theodore. A reliable netminder for much of his career, Jose Theodore produced solid numbers during parts of 15 seasons in the league, posting a 286, 254 and 30 record, a 2.68 career goals against average, a .909 save percentage, and 33 shutouts in 643 regular season games. Not only that, the former second-round pick won a Vezina, he appeared at 2 All-Star games, and he won the Bill Masterton Trophy in 2010. So the guy won more awards than most, that's for sure. Having been drafted by the Montreal Canadiens in 1994, and having finally cracked their roster full-time in 1999, the Canadian netminder would finally embark on his NHL career and begin to find his footing in the best league in the world. However, after 2 years of vastly differing numbers, Theodore would break out and then some during the 2001-02 NHL season, as the netminder posted a staggering 30, 24 and 10 record, a .931 save percentage, a 2.11 goals against average, and 7 shutouts in 67 games. Talk about making a statement, eh, folks? While this performance would help the Habs return to the playoffs for the first time in 4 years, and while he would take home the first and only Vezina trophy of his career, Theodore's play would also make him a frontrunner for league MVP, as he finished with 434 votes for the 2002 Hart Memorial trophy. Despite taking home a sizable chunk of the vote share, this Hart race would end in pretty unique fashion, as Calgary Flames star Jarome Iginla also finished with 434 votes, and there was a 2-way tie for first place, something that had never happened before in the award's 78-year history. However, since Theodore finished with 26 first-place votes and Iginla only had 23, Theodore won the tiebreaker and ultimately secured sole ownership of the trophy, becoming the 6th goalie in NHL history to win the Hart. It may have come down to the wire, but a win's a win, right guys? Another 13 years would pass until the league saw its 7th and final Hart-winning goalie at the time of this recording, as we conclude this video with none other than Carey Price. One of the greatest netminders for one of the league's oldest and most successful franchises, Carey Price was one of the best goalies in the world during his prime, and he produced quite the impressive NHL career, registering a 361, 261 and 79 record, a 2.51 career goals against average, a .917 save percentage, and 49 shutouts in 712 regular season games. He was also a 7-time All-Star, won an Olympic gold medal, and he is the all-time winningest goaltender in Montreal Canadiens history. So the guy left his mark and then some. In the midst of his decorated career with the Habs, Price would take his game to completely unprecedented levels, and not only finish as the top goalie that year, he produced one of the best single-season goaltending performances the league has ever seen. During the 2014-15 NHL season, Price carried a rather low-scoring Canadiens team on his back and led his side to a second-place finish across the entire Eastern Conference, thanks to him registering an astonishing 44, 16 and 6 record, a .933 save percentage, a 1.96 goals against average, and 9 shutouts in 66 games. The guy backstopped his team to all but 6 of their wins that year, and he averaged less than 2 goals a game over an entire season of play. God, prime Carey Price really was something else, right guys? As you might expect, these heroics would earn Price numerous awards, as he took home a Vezina, a William M. Jennings Trophy, the Ted Lindsay Award, and the all-important Hart Memorial Trophy, as he secured 95% of the first place vote share to become the 7th and final goalie to be crowned league MVP at the time of this recording. There's certainly worse ways to write your name in the history books, that's for sure. So why have goalies won the Hart Trophy the least out of any position? Why have we seen only 7 netminders secure the award on only 8 occasions in 99 years? Well, simply put, goalies have to play to an insanely high standard to even be considered for the award, especially since Jacques Plante's win all the way back in 1962. Now sure, some of the earlier goalies were able to win the award after producing some pretty mediocre numbers on the surface, but just think of all of the skaters that have won the Hart over the decades and how they earned the award thanks to their game-changing production or them revolutionizing the sport. Unless a netminder played an insane number of games, they produced otherworldly numbers, or they shattered league records, they weren't going to be considered for the award. It's as simple as that. Also, why hasn't a goalie won league MVP since Carey Price did nearly 10 seasons ago now? Of course, there have been plenty of netminders that have played very well in the many years that have followed, and several players have come pretty close since both Florida's Sergei Bobrovsky and New York's Igor Shesterkin both finished 3rd place in Hart voting in 2017 and 2022 respectively. But given that skaters have typically been favoured for the Hart, and given that goalies quite literally have to stand on their heads just to enter the conversation, no netminder has played so ridiculously that they have come anywhere close to taking home the trophy. That said, Winnipeg Jets netminder Connor Hellebuck could take home the award in just a few weeks' time, since he's put up insane numbers during the recent 24-25 NHL season, thanks to him registering an incredible 46-12-3 record, a 2.02 goals against average, a .924 save percentage, and 8 shutouts in 62 games this season at the time of this recording. Will that happen though? I guess we'll have to wait and see. And there you go, guys. That was a look at every NHL goalie to be named League MVP. What do you guys think about this exclusive list, or how each of these netminders earned the award? Do you think that the list should be shorter than it already is, or do you think that another goaltender should have taken home the trophy? Do let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. A big thank you to Bexy93, Burned Retinas, Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Raquel and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.